ABC 17 News at 10 on KMIZ starts now.
The snow continues to fall tonight in mid-Missouri. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joey Parker. Ashley is off tonight. Columbia Public Works just announced it is bringing crews in early. We'll tell you more about that in a minute. But first, ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Sharon Ray joins us just outside the studio with this snow and about any possible accumulation. Sharon.
We have accumulation, Joey, as expected, in grassy surfaces and on elevated surfaces, but fortunately the roads are just wet. I have not had any reports of slick roads, but we are seeing it gathering on elevated surfaces. Another thing I want to point out is when I measure the snow here, we are at 1 inch exactly, and that is what the airport's at. I called and checked, and they do have 1 inch of snow at the airport, which means we broke a daily snowfall record for November 8th. The good news is, yeah, the snow is still falling, but as Aaron pointed out earlier, and we were talking about the past couple of days, the ground is just wet. We do not have any accumulating snow here on the ground, but I do want to warn you that, of course, those bridges and overpasses could see some ice by morning as the temperatures continue to fall. We are going to see temperatures falling even more. We're at the freezing mark right now, and by the time morning rolls around, we could actually have some ice in spots. So I'm going to go over to the weather maps here, and we'll take a look at what's going on Doppler radar, and you can see that now I'm inside the studio. We have snow still coming down, and these are the temperatures across the area. Notice we're very close to that freezing mark, or just below freezing. In fact, down to 30 at Sedalia right now. Still some light snow here as well as toward Marshall, but the back edge here, it's tapering off in Kansas City now. The snow has ended there, and this back edge will continue to pull to the east, and by after 11 o'clock, we'll see the snow tapering off from west to east across mid-Missouri. It is still going to come down lightly for another couple of hours, and with that, we will see those accumulations like I already showed you, up to 1 inch in many areas. We did have a report of 2 inches in Morgan County, so there has been a few areas with those 2 inch totals, and that's what I expect through the night to hold at about 1 to 2 inches at most. Now, the out the door tomorrow, as I mentioned, keep an eye on bridges and overpasses. Temperatures will be close to 30 in the morning. Another thing, it's going to be breezy tomorrow, and that wind is going to feel like ice out there. Wind chills tomorrow in the 20s, and we also have a chance we could see a few snow showers, perhaps with a few raindrops mixed in, but mainly snow moving through in the afternoon. I'm going to track all this hour by hour and have your weekend forecast when I come back.
Thank you, Sharon. Right now, we have a crew out in the ABC 17 Storm Tracker monitoring the roads. This is a live look in Columbia. So far, we haven't heard of any major crashes in the area. Knock wood, and let's hope that keeps up. Now, in the last hour, Columbia Public Works, as I mentioned, announced it is having crews report early in the morning at about 4 a.m. to treat designated snow routes. Columbia hospitals are seeing a steady stream of people overdosing on synthetic marijuana. ABC 17's Lucas Kaiser joins us live from University Hospital now. And Lucas, so far, no one has died from these dangerous drugs.
Joey, one doctor tells me, though, that he's had patients come in that aren't breathing, though. He described the difficult process of trying to treat someone overdosing on K2.
Randy Curtis tried synthetic marijuana, or K2, for the first time in prison 4 years ago. He says the experience gave him a stroke.
I love riding motorcycles. I can't even ride a motorcycle no more because of my hand. They won't straighten out.
Now, K2 is responsible for more than a dozen overdose calls in the last 24 hours in Columbia. Boone Hospital Center EMTs helped with 16 calls. University Hospital staff say it's had 11 people come through the emergency room. Dr. Chris Sampson with MU Health says the best doctors can do is treat the symptoms of an overdose, from being totally unconscious or being irritable.
Unfortunately, in the emergency department, a lot of times it's a mystery and we don't know initially what's going on with the patient, which both makes our job challenging and interesting on a daily basis.
The chemicals used in K2 are constantly changing, and some of them are legal. That makes it harder for police to catch those selling and for doctors to know what to treat.
Which makes it very challenging for us to treat patients who take it, and also increases the risk of the people who are abusing it because they really don't know what they're taking.
Curtis says he hasn't tried the product circulating the streets and regrets ever using it in the first place. He wants to send a message to those considering it.
I want to tell all the young kids and the grown-ups, don't mess with it, because all of it's bad.
Columbia police say they are searching for and do hope to arrest the people that are selling it or giving this product out that people are overdosing on. Reporting live in Columbia, Lucas Geisler, ABC 17 News.
Lucas, thank you. The Columbia Police, Fire, and Health Departments all hosted a joint news conference on these overdoses late this afternoon. Police say it's an issue that can affect anyone.
Because it is out there in the community, and it's not just the homeless population using this. Yes, we are seeing a lot of folks that are experiencing homelessness that are overdosing, but those are the people that we know about.
We'll continue to follow this story and update you as arrests are made. Inquiries into Missouri Catholic churches continue tonight. The Jefferson City Diocese released a list of priests today who have been credibly accused of sexual misconduct. ABC 17's Barry Mangold spoke with church leadership and the Attorney General's office about this ongoing investigation.
Right now, the Attorney General's office is reviewing the records of all Missouri dioceses for evidence of criminal sexual activity by priests and others. The Jefferson City and Springfield dioceses are also conducting internal inspections, but one survivor tells me not enough is being done. After a scathing Pennsylvania grand jury accused over 300 priests of committing countless sexual assaults against children, all 4 dioceses in Missouri responded by welcoming the Attorney General's office to review their records, launching their own internal investigation, or both.
I am ashamed and appalled at how some of my brother bishops and priests have harmed so many.
The Jefferson City Diocese revealed some of their own findings today, a list of 33 credibly accused clergy members who have been removed or are deceased. But a leader of SNAP, the survivors network of those abused by priests, says he thinks the list is incomplete and that there's a conflict of interest.
Some disclosure beats no disclosure. We're pretty certain this is not a complete list.
St. Louis Director of SNAP, David Clohessy, says the ongoing review by the AG's office should be a more robust investigation. But now Senator-elect Josh Hawley is headed out with no replacement named. I asked a spokeswoman for the AG's office how Hawley's departure would impact their review. Their response only said the review is active and ongoing. And as I mentioned, the Springfield Diocese is also conducting an internal review and told me today they expect to release a similar list of priests in the next month or so.
Thank you, Barry. You can find a full list of all the 33 former priests and religious laymen that are accused of sexual misconduct on our website at abc17news.com. Today, the woman accused in connection with the death of a Jefferson City child made her first appearance in court. Quatavia Givens was referred to as Darnell Gray's caregiver and reported him missing. She later confirmed she knew the location of his body and admitted she may have hit him too hard. Today, Givens requested a public defender and is set to appear in court again next Thursday. The investigation into the deadly duck boat sinking is moving forward tonight. Today, a federal grand jury indicted the captain of that boat. This comes nearly 4 months after 17 people were killed when the boat capsized at Table Rock Lake in Branson. The U.S. attorney spoke about the 17-count indictment this morning.
Failed to raise the side curtains, failed to instruct his passengers to don their personal flotation devices, and failed to prepare to abandon ship after each of 2 separate soundings of the vehicle's bilge alarms.
If convicted, the captain could face up to 10 years in prison on each count and a fine of $250,000. Another night, another mass shooting. This time, 13 people are dead and a dozen injured in California. The shooter is identified as 28-year-old Ian Long, who served as a Marine in Afghanistan. A mental health specialist with a crisis team met with Long about 7 months ago, but decided against detaining him. Long used a legally purchased .45 caliber Glock handgun with an extended magazine that is actually illegal in California. The shooting at the Borderline Bar and Grill, a country bar that he frequented, that's where it happened. Long killed himself after that shooting. Tonight, we know the helicopter that crashed in Callaway County was headed for the Columbia Regional Airport. That is new information from the National Transportation Safety Board. The helicopter crashed last month near Fulton, killing its pilot, Charles Prather. The report says one witness reported seeing smoke coming from the aircraft. There were no distress calls, though, from the pilot. Right now, 2 teenagers are in the Boone County Jail without bond, accused of robbing somebody at gunpoint. Court documents say the alleged victim arranged to meet up with someone on Let Go, which is a buy and sell app, to buy an iPhone. Now, the victim told police when he got to the meeting, 2 men walked up to his car. One of them pointed a gun at him and took his money. Prosecutors have charged William Harper Jr. and Devion Payne today. Here's another live look at the roads in Columbia. From the ABC 17 Storm Tracker, we will continue monitoring the roads and let you know as conditions change.
And I'll track that snow through the night for you. We'll also take a look at the wind chills. It is going to be bitterly cold tomorrow night. I'm going to show you that when I come back. Well, here we are, November 8th, and this is what we were encountering today. Snow coming down, even some big flakes of snow, very steady for several hours. From that shot, you can see the roads are still just wet out there. Good news there. But again, elevated areas, bridges and overpasses. I haven't heard of any problems, but we haven't dropped our temperatures as much yet. And as we go overnight and get below freezing, we'll have to watch those bridges. As far as today, we do have a new snowfall record. We broke it from way back in 1926. The daily record at 3/10. We are at 1 inch at the airport, and it's still snowing lightly, so we have that record, and we could even see a record low by Saturday morning. Snowfall amounts, we are getting some pretty nice totals here, anywhere from 1 inch from the airport to ABC 17. Our storm tracker, John Foster in Moberly, says he's got 3 inches of snow, while Versailles at 2 inches and New Bloomfield picking up just over 1 inch. And it's been pretty consistent, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, in some places seeing those higher totals. Outside right now, still seeing it coming down. It's 32 degrees in Columbia at this hour. We have 32 degrees as well at Pre-Owned, where we have that snow lightly falling, but you can see how it's starting to break up a little to the west. And with time, it'll end here, especially after 11 o'clock and midnight. That band gradually shifts to the east. Temperatures will continue to drop slightly as we head into the overnight hours. Let me show you that with Future Track starting at 10 o'clock tonight. You can see the back edge of the snow here continuing to pull eastward by 1 o'clock in the morning. It's already ended near Highway 65. Temperatures hovering very close to that 32-degree mark tonight, down to 31 by 4. So we will have a freeze tonight. It'll be very light, but nevertheless, the roads are wet. So some of that water could be turning into some black ice by morning. Upper 20s here Friday morning in our northeast counties, near 30 at the Lake of the Ozarks. A dry morning commute as far as what's coming from the sky. But as we go through the day, there's yet another upper level wave coming in, and we could see some more snow coming down. How about that for November 9th, as we'll see some snow showers tomorrow afternoon, but see the temperatures were above freezing. So it shouldn't cause any issues on roads tomorrow. Most of that falls as temperatures are still above the freezing mark. As it's moving out, though, look at how cold it gets tomorrow evening. So during the day, just plan on the winter wardrobe. You're going to need it. Temperatures are cold. Bundle up those kids' hats and gloves in the morning, because these temperatures are going to feel a lot colder. The wind chill tracker showing it's going to feel like the upper teens and low 20s tomorrow. That wind picks up, and the gusty winds are just going to be icy, giving us wind chills by tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the teens. And you can see the lows for tomorrow night dropping down into the upper teens. The weekend's dry, but it is a cold start. Saturday morning, we're at 17. The wind chill down to 10 in the morning. Only 37 for the high Saturday. Sunday, we warm up a little bit. Deer hunters are going to have a pretty cold start to the season for Saturday. Next Monday, we could see some snow coming down once again. We'll keep an eye on that for you.
All right, Sharon, thank you. Tonight, Columbia police say they have arrested a man after a standoff on Demerit Drive. It happened earlier today. Police say Dalton DeStoglu surrendered after SWAT teams breached the house. He was hiding there, is what they tell us. He was arrested for today's incident and for other active warrants. Police have now arrested a woman accused of stealing high-value merchandise from a Columbia adult store at Knife Point. Investigators say Kayla Dugan filled a shopping basket full of items, left the store. Clerk tried to stop her, but that's when she pulled out a knife. Police say Dugan then returned to the store the next day and admitted to the crime and to having sold all the stolen merchandise overnight. Jefferson City High School. Big difference there. Didn't hold any activities tonight after a water line break. It happened in the lower level of the building. The school dismissed at about 1:30 this afternoon so they could shut off the water. Now, the school says there are no safety concerns for students and no other buildings in the district are affected by this. Also tonight, parts of Jefferson City are no longer under that boil advisory. After 2 water mains broke on Southwest Boulevard, more than 5,000 Missouri American water customers south of Stadium Boulevard were affected. It also shut down Helias Catholic High School and 2 Capital Region medical offices yesterday. The advisory was lifted around 3:30 today. And an ABC 17 News traffic alert, Columbia's Short Street parking garage in the 1000 block of East Walnut will be closed a week from this Sunday. A maintenance inspection on November 18th will require all vehicles be removed from the garage. Any vehicles left inside will be ticketed or towed at the owner's expense. Nearby street parking will be free until 9 o'clock Monday morning, November the 19th. Daytime resurfacing on Business Route 54 in Fulton will shut down 1 lane on the road starting next Thursday. Crews will direct traffic through the work area between 12 and that's 12th Street and the nearby roundabout. Now, evening resurfacing will start after rush hour every day. Drivers are asked to find another way as the work may last into December.
We've won the race. It's very clear now, and we're moving forward with the transition.
By his own admission, there are at least 25,000 outstanding votes and hundreds, if not thousands, of more that we are learning about and discovering every day.
There is still no official winner in the race to become Georgia's governor. Republican candidate Brian Kemp leads challenger Democrat Stacey Abrams by about 63,000 votes. Kemp has declared himself the winner, but Abrams says there are still enough uncounted votes that the race could warrant a runoff or a recount. Kemp is also being sued for holding on to the office of Secretary of State, meaning he oversaw an election in which he was a candidate. He has since stepped down and calls the lawsuit ridiculous. We'll show you the situation in California where yet another wildfire has forced officials to evacuate an entire town. And we want to welcome our viewers on KQFX, Fox 22. Thanks for joining us after the game. We'll have headlines for you coming up at the end of this part of the newscast. Just today, a federal appeals court upheld a ruling protecting the DACA program. It is now the second court to agree with the Trump administration, saying it cannot end the DACA program. That means the nationwide injunction allowing DACA to continue will remain in effect. The program protects illegal immigrants who came to the U.S. as children from being deported. The Trump administration has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the case. Fire has now destroyed several hundred buildings in Northern California. The state's governor has declared a state of emergency, and the town of Paradise near San Francisco has been evacuated. Firefighters say the fire is moving so fast, they actually at one point had to hide inside buildings to wait for it to pass by. Columbia College soccer team wouldn't let a little snow stop it. ABC 17's Tyler Murray has thawed out and shows us how the Cougars managed to stay hot out in the cold.
Sports Zone starts now, sponsored by U.S. Cellular.
The Mizzou basketball team arrived in Ames, Iowa tonight ahead of its matchup tomorrow with Iowa State. The Tigers and Cyclones tip off at 6 p.m. I will be at the game to bring you all the coverage on ABC 17 News at 9 and 10, as well as up on our website, abc17news.com. The Tigers defeated Iowa State to start the season last year. However, this year's Iowa State team is more highly touted than last year's. The Tigers say they welcome the test as Mizzou looks to improve to 2-0.
What's the point in coming to this level, being at a university of this magnitude, and you don't challenge yourself? And I think you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your fans to be able to play that level of competition on the road. And there's nothing better than playing quality opponents.
Mizzou forward Jonte Porter had surgery today on his torn right ACL and MCL. The Mizzou basketball Twitter account tweeted the surgery was successful. Konzo Martin says Porter had the surgery in Colorado and will return with the team when he is feeling well enough to do so. The former Tolton star tore his ACL and MCL during a closed scrimmage in October. He is out for the season, and there's no indication whether or not he will decide to go pro or return to Mizzou for his senior year. The Mizzou football team is 2 days away from its game against Vanderbilt. The Tigers and Commodores square off at 11 a.m. on Saturday over at Faurot Field. Mizzou is coming off an impressive upset win over the Florida Gators on the road. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt is coming off a bye week. The Tigers learned to block out the noise last week heading into the Florida game. Now they have to block out the opposite kind of noise heading into a game where the Tigers are heavily favored to beat Vandy.
Can't necessarily buy into all what's being said outside the locker room, and people, you know, they have their own opinions. They try to write your own story. They try to tell you who you are as a football player, who you are as a team. We're all guilty of that in this room. I can promise that, especially when I was a young guy. But I think you just got to stay on the narrow path.
If I stop talking or freeze up, it's because I'm still trying to thaw out from the winter wonderland over at Marvin Owens Field. By the end of the game, I looked pretty much like, well, this brutal attempt at a snowman, or at least I think it's a snowman. However, the Columbia College and William Woods women's soccer teams weren't about to let a lot of snow get in the way of a conference championship. The two schools braved the elements as snow blanketed the field the entire game and, well, never let up. Scoreless, though, with 6 minutes to go in regulation, Kelsey Mertz collides with the goalkeeper, former Hickman Cupid. Lucy Kingsley picks up the loose ball and ships it into the top of the net. It's 1-0 Cougars with time winding down, but William Woods answered just 2 minutes later off the corner. Tough for the keeper to hang on to this one with all the snow, and Clarice Stark puts it home. It's tied up at 1 after a pair of scoreless overtimes. Former Rockbridge Bruin Molly Klein puts home the game winner in PKs. Columbia College wins 2-1 and advances to the NAIA National Tournament, hopefully one with a little less snow.
Never played in a game like this. This is a pretty cool experience, and I'm just glad that we got to get the W in it. It took a lot out of us. You know, they tied us up in the regular season conference game, and we knew we had to come back and win it, but we did it, and we finished it off in penalty kicks. Not how we wanted to win, but it was a great win anyway, and we're glad we got it done.
Sharon, we'll have one last look at your forecast in just a moment.
Freezing. Watch for ice on roads in the morning. Those roads are pretty wet, and with temperatures below freezing, we could be seeing some ice in the morning and a cold day tomorrow.
All right, we'll have your headlines coming up next. Stay with us.